Hello, you're watching TelecomTV. My name is Martyn Warwick. We're here at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. We're in Hall 5. And that's only the 5th of 8. It's a massive show. Anyway, I'm talking with Larry Lenhart, who is the President and CEO of CarrierIQ. Larry, good to see you. We have mutual friends, as we know, but we've only met very briefly before. Now, you're deeply involved in what's called the consumer experience as far as mobility is concerned. That seems to me to be a pretty broad church. What does it mean?
So consumer experience is really what happens from the consumer's view. Right? So most importantly is really understanding the consumer's day in the life of and what's happening. Now, we do a lot of activity in consumer experience. That's our business. But that actually means what's happening from their view, not what's happening from the carrier's view, but what's happening from their view. We call that kind of the outside in. And so what we do is we provide customer care. And customer care, our new product we just launched, is IQ Care. Now it's being used for the last 9 months at a Tier 1 carrier for about 8 million subscribers. But it really helps that consumer deal with customer care in a proactive way, dealing with the carrier.
Now you mentioned, in fact you stressed the outside-in view rather than the inside-out. How do you do it, and what's different in practical terms in terms of what you get out of it, what the operator gets out of it, than it would be in any other way?
Sure. So the operator and the carrier, the device manufacturer, the enterprise, they have a great deal of information overload to some extent. Multiple systems they're trying to capture information from. Network information, business intelligence information, billings information. Compile that, and then use that to think about what the consumer's experience is. That's kind of the inside looking out. More important is really what's actually happening from the consumer's view, and that's actually the device. So by capturing the analytic information from the device, you get a true picture of what's happening at the consumer's perspective.
So when you've got this way of getting to the information and analysing it, what then happens when that turns into usable information? Where does it go, and who then manipulates it?
Sure. So obviously our customers are the carriers and device manufacturers and others, but let's take the carrier from that example. So we capture the analytic information to really just data that comes off the device itself. No content, it's really just bits and bobs of that analytic information. We capture that into our managed services environments, also our big data platform. We convert that analytics into intelligence. And that intelligence, as an example, is the care agent. When the care agent at a carrier wants to understand what's happening on the device, they use our intelligence system. That feeds to a dashboard. The agent pulls up the dashboard and gets a true sense of the experience of the consumer. So as the consumer, if I call into care, I don't have to explain, here's all the things that happened, I'm having a really difficult time. And the care agent usually takes 5 minutes or 7 minutes understanding what's happening. In this example, the care agent knows what's happening, can look at it and what's happening to the consumer, but more importantly, compare it to millions of other users. So is what's happening from that experience typical? Is it not typical? Is it typical for this device in this geography, etc.?
You mentioned big data then, and that's something I want to come on to now. It's been a buzzwords for the past couple of years, and we know that originally, when it all started, many enterprises just said, I want to have access to, and I want to use every bit of data that you can throw at me. Give me it all. Sure. The result is you're buried under a landslide of data which may or may not be usable, may or may not have any relevance to what you're doing. How do you differentiate what is useful that you can use to make money, generate return on investment, and make profit?
Sure. You brought up one of the key points, especially here at Mobile World Congress. Everybody's talking about big data. I think it's a little overused. It's a little kind of old from that perspective. Yeah. But think about the carriers. They get an enormous amount of data. When we talk to our customers, the carriers or other device folks, and they're like, we get more data than we know what to do with. Please don't give us data. Give us intelligence. Give us insights in what that data is telling us. So there's really two things that are really important there. One is, tell us, what does that big data actually tell us? And that's kind of the inferencing, the data analytics of what that is. A good example is if you think about a device itself, and people are using their devices as they should be, if a certain application burns battery, that's a challenge for the consumer. You can see that through analytics. It helps you understand the experience, infer that using millions and millions of different use cases to determine that these applications may be causing impact on the device. That's beneficial. It's beneficial for the consumer because now they understand that that may be a bad application or something that hurts my device, so I could remove it. I could try something different. I could change the settings. Very valuable. Very valuable to the carrier because they can proactively help. They can answer the calls much faster, much more efficiently, and understand those issues from that side of it. And then the other perspective is the world of big data. You don't want to get all the bits of data. If we try to capture all the bits of data every minute, every second, it'd be impossible to manage. Not only would it be tell me what's happening from the data, it'd be wait a second, not only tell me what's happening from the data, but cut that off. I can't take any more. And so what we do quite differently is that our agent is actually an intelligent agent. So if we need to capture that information once a week, once a day, once a month, we can change that. So it kind of changes that spigot of information that comes in, and then you want to realize what's the most important amount that I need to capture, and just capture that.
What about the good old concerns about mobile privacy and the protection of data and user content when collecting system and performance data as you are doing?
Sure, that's a great question. And mobile privacy is a great topic. It's a great discussion. It really opens up the conversation of what's happening. And we are a huge fan, a huge supporter of the world of mobile privacy. Matter of fact, we have pretty good insights into it from that perspective. But we actually don't use the term mobile privacy. We actually believe it's educating the consumer. Because if you think about it, you sign a 20-page user agreement on a document.
T's and C's that long.
People, sometimes they don't pay attention to it. I say 99% of the time don't pay attention to it. Well, at the same period of time, we have privacy laws that say do this, do that. That's interesting, and we certainly do abide by those, and we have to hold, as an industry, ourselves to the highest level. But more important, we have to be honest and open with the consumer. Take a process to educate them. Have them understand what's happening. So as an example, for when we have if we're capturing information from the device itself, we have the user's consent. We want that user to be able to see what's happening with that analytic information. So they can go to the carrier and they can capture and understand what information is being captured, how it's being used, and what's happening with it. And at any point in time, we want to make sure they're educated about it. What's the value of the information? How to use it? What's proactive? But put the onus in their hands. Let them have the opportunity to really understand the value of their data.
Thank you. Let's move on then to look at something that isn't particularly contentious, but it's something I think that might annoy subscribers if they think about it in a particular way. What's your vision of this notion of the evolution of customer care over what's called the arc of reactive care? Then from reactive care comes proactive care, and then comes self-care. Now, first two we can discuss in a minute as we will, but I think what most people would look at and say, self-care, hang on, I'm paying this much for this handset, I'm paying this much for this service. Are you telling me I've got to mend everything myself as well?
Sure. But the perspective of having self-help is the perspective of actually putting the education in the consumer's hand. So what is the opportunity to really, it's not so much help, it's really optimization. So if I could look at my device and I could say, okay, I have this type of device and I'm in this type of region, I do this. What's important for the consumer is not so much what's happening on their device, but how does it compare to others? Because I'd like to make my device better if everybody else's device is running better. So if they have better call capabilities, they have better batteries, something's going on that they're doing I'm not doing. That's actually a great education process for the consumer. They can optimize their device. If they have different applications that might run better on their type of device, they should know. They should learn from that. I think it's a great opportunity. So I think it's less about self-help, more about education, more about helping them optimize it. But they have to have very simple, concise, and easy tools to do that. And at some period of time, they embrace that. And then they have a better relationship, both from the mobile side, but also with their carrier and their device manufacturer.
Reactive care is self-evident what that is. What about proactive care?
So proactive care is a great opportunity think about the different channels of when the consumer has a conversation with the carrier. Or if you think about care is certainly a carrier-based situation, but it's also the device manufacturer. They certainly have to understand care and be able to be reactive to that, as well as the retailers and others. But the opportunity to be proactive care is using big data analytics. So if using big data analytics, they can see some challenges that are happening on the device or on the network or with data activities, just be proactive. We want to make sure that consumer doesn't have to go through the hassle of calling customer care. So if we could reach out to them and say, it looks like this type of application burns the battery in this type of way, and you may be in the region where that's a very prevalent based application, let's let them know. Therefore, their battery is optimized, their relationship's optimized. They don't go through the challenges of calling customer care or the challenges of going on the web, plug it into Google and search it for a bunch of different stuff. You don't want to do that. And the other thing you don't want to do is have, to call in and have the carrier take over your device, because then they fixed it, but you haven't learned. And the whole, it's like, you know, teaching someone how to fish versus giving them a fish.
Yeah, yeah.
The great opportunity is let them learn how to do it, because the folks nowadays, they learn, it is an amazing opportunity once you put the power in their hands. So let's give them the power to do that.
Final question to you, which is about CarrierIQ. You've mentioned that you're in with a Tier 1 operator now and have been for 8 months and so on. What's your plan moving forward? What's the strategy for the next year?
Sure. So we talk about one carrier. We've actually been around for 7 years, and most of the Tier 1 carriers in the U.S. are our customers.
But it's a new product that's gone into
the new product on CarrierIQ, or IQ Care. We've had it up and running for about 10 months now. It's scaled very quickly and very successful. And the opportunity there with that carrier, and there's 8 million subscribers that are actually using the capabilities now, is to take that out to other carriers, both our current customers that are using our technology in other ways around the mobile intelligence platform, but then also work to take that to other carriers. We actually have other partners that are actually performing, let's say, outsourced care for customers. They actually come to us. So we're partnering with IBM and others on helping them provide better capabilities to the carriers and others in the ecosystem as well.
Good stuff, very interesting. Larry Lenhart, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Martyn.